probably the whole following week after that. Quite a lot of cleaning and lining. They're also going to be installing a new water main in Shaw's Lane, Rock Street, and Ryan Street in Bristol, which is over near the industrial complex, some small side streets. So they'll be doing that next week. So things are going along actually pretty well. They're a good contractor as far as customer relations, which makes my life pretty easy, or easier than some other contractors. So that's going well. We've had some issues with hot water in the bypass pipe, which people complain about, but there's not a whole lot we can do on that issue. But it's better than freezing pipes that we had one year. Pretty much things are going along well construction-wise, pretty quickly. They will have, after this phase of work, one more set of streets in Warren, which are scheduled for like October, November. They will have Hope Street in Bristol, which should get started pretty soon, and possibly one other street. So things are moving along well and should be done by the end of the year.
Any questions? Good job. Thank you, Sue.
I have, Alan, I have a question.
Yes, sure.
We talked about doing Mount Hope Avenue last month or the month before. When is that going to take place?
So we're actually still working with the contractor on that as far as agreeing to do that work. It probably will get done, and it would get done with Hope Street in Bristol, which means October. But yes, we are still hoping to do Mount Hope Ave as well.
Thank you, Sue.
Yep.
Okay.
I just noticed Bill Gosselin is not here.
Right. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. I'll give him a call and see if he's having an issue.
Okay. Meanwhile, we go to Mike.
Oh, one of the big undertakings for the past month was Smart Ball. So that was a significant, it's actually an in-service inspection. It's similar to the inspection we performed to identify the defect in the Cross Bay pipeline, in the sense that it goes into an active water main. The difference in this one is non-tethered. The Sahara device we put in before was tethered. This is essentially what we put into the pipeline. So I included some pictures where you actually see it squashed, where they're getting ready to launch it. With flow, we're able to trip that through the pipeline. Traveled about 38,000 feet, took about 11 hours. And the inspection went very well. The inspection looks for steady state flow, so that it can detect the anomalies as possible. Anomalies being bends that are not in the record drawings. There is a little bit of a magnetometer within the unit itself, where it can detect differences in wall thickness, nothing to the sense that it can detect corrosion, but it may be able to pick up fittings and pipe joints. So we were able to utilize the assets that we installed as part of the PVC lining project. And we utilized a manhole, an existing manhole that we were able to modify. And that modification saved the installation costs associated with installing a new manhole that would have essentially a 6-inch hole that we could then go in and capture the device with. Significant savings. Our guys were able to do most of that work. We did subcontract out the drilling of the tap to a regional vendor that has a very good reputation for that type of tapping work. Given the critical nature of our pipeline, we wanted to ensure everything was done. We took all steps to be as successful as possible. So some of the pictures I included in the report were of the actual launch, the device that would go insert the unit into the pipeline. And then also I included the extraction, which is a big net
Bill,
that they stuck into the pipe
it's Mark.
to
You
catch
having
it.
trouble getting on?
And luckily this rolled along, and 11 hours later it landed in the net. So we were able to provide them with good conditions, a velocity of the water around 1.5 feet per second, and that stayed steady throughout that entire 11 hours. So that allowed their device to generate very good data. So with that data, they're going to do about 8 weeks of analysis on it. We should get a report. Right out of the pipe, they do look at the data though, to see if there's any significant anomalies or events. And they did pick up one. So we have some preliminary data on us. Luckily, it's small. It's less than 10 gallons per minute. So we're doing some background research. They're doing some research on their end. We're still coordinating with them as far as where this potential leak might be. So the ball is able to correlate. It's got accelerometers in it, so it knows when it changes directions. So we're using those changes of directions coupled with high accuracy surface mounted GPS points to define exactly where this is. And then we're doing research against record drawings to try to see what apartments or what the likely mode of failure is. So that's where we are with that. It does appear to be approximate to the East Providence meter pit and underground pump station. But we're still developing that situation now. So, but otherwise, very successful. Pure Technologies was very satisfied, and they think whatever data they can provide us will be very accurate.
Thanks, Mike. You're giving us a lot of feedback, though, unfortunately. You're still buzzing.
I apologize for that.
And we
What
got
is our,
Pablo.
what's our standard level of leak right now in our system? What percentage is it that we have for leakage or unaccounted for water? I guess that's the way to say it.
We're about 10% unaccounted.
Yeah, we're on the lower side of what we've been in recent years.
Okay. Anyone have questions for Mike? All right, thank you very much. Next item is the financial report.
Mark, you're muted.
Mute. There we
There
go.
you go.
Hi, Bill. Bill's on.
Hi, Mark. Thank you very much. Thank you, Pam.
Okay, included in your packets was the July statement. We get 5 months down. The year's going by very fast. I'll add to what Pam said. We've had a very robust sale of water. We bought a lot of water, but we've also sold a lot of water. And collections, we, as Pam mentioned, we implemented some tagging, contacts of people that may have been delinquent, and the response has been good. We did recoup a lot of that money. When you tag, they do come in and pay or make pay arrangements. So some people aren't happy, just a handful, really. So I think we're in very good shape, considering the situation we're dealt with. We could set a record in August for collections. We're up to, I figure by Monday, we're going to be close to 1.8 million in collections for the month.
Wow.
Which will, I think our previous was about 1.6 something. So with the 10% rate increase and staying on top of receivables, you know, we're in very good shape. So Also on 9/1, September 1st, we make all of our principal and interest payments to all the bonds. They're all timed the same time. So we pay semi-annual interest on March 1st, and we pay principal and interest on September 1st. So we build up our debt reserve fund over the course. Every month I put money in there so we have enough money on 9/1 to make the payment. So we're good there. Then we'll start budgeting every month what we're going to need for next year. So we're in fine shape there. I'm also working with US Bank to try to invest. We had some very good luck towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year, investing what we have, revenue fund and the large $18 million project fund that we had last year. So the portion that we hadn't used during the winter, we put in a 6-month CD, and we earned more than we've ever earned. We earned about $100,000 in interest during that time. But as we got to April, May, June, some of those avenues dried up on us. So right now I'm working with a money manager at US Trust to see if we can get the money in, especially the revenue fund and the balance of the Chase project fund into something that will give us some meaningful interest. So it adds up if we can do that. But they're going to get back to me. I'm going to have a conference call with them on Monday to see what we can do to move that. So it may be even in shorter 60-month or 6-month, 2-month, 60-day, 90-day, or 120-day that I can set up each different debt service reserve or these the funds we have. We have about 16 accounts, I think, for different things that we earn the most money we can on those. We're trying anyway to do that. The July statement, it was enclosed. If there's any questions, everything's pretty much status quo. If you have any questions about the numbers I put in, the budget is in fine shape. We're about 8 or 9% above budget on revenue and about 7% under budget on expense, just about the way I design it. So we're good there. And there's nothing that jumps out. Everything we budgeted, some of the professional fees for legal and whatever, we're pretty much on target. That what we expected. So if there's any other questions on it, there's nothing that's really jumps out in my mind. If there's anybody has any questions.
Find out. Anyone have questions, comments?
I have a question, but it's not really for Mark. It's for the other board members. Have any of you had any kind of feedback regarding our most recent rate increase? I haven't had any at all.
I've had none.
Zero.
None here. None at all.
I think people understood why we did it.
I believe so. So I was just curious to see if anybody's had any.
Either that or the COVID or other things have taken priority from them. But I think if we did a lot to educate them on why we had to do it. So it's not an easy thing for.
Well, they obviously can see all the work going on too. So that's
That's true.
But I think we'll start hearing more as the bills go out from the summer. So it's just we have
don't be putting a damper on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't quite gotten there yet, but pretty soon.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mark. Moving right along, Personnel Committee. John?
Okay, the Personnel Committee with all of you, just about all of you were tuned into, so you all know just what our action was. Our action was just table any action until we get more clarification on the matter.
Okay. And therefore, number 8, we'll not be doing anything on the pension trust at this moment. Item number 8. Who's going to
You
talk
need
about
a
that?
motion to table,
So moved.
just to cover us.
Oh, you mean because we're not going to take action on it to table it for a month, or just
Right.
table it? I guess
Did
so. We'll
somebody-
entertain a motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, further discussion, none. All those in favor, raise your hand. I see every member of the board has got his hand up and her hand up. It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, item number 8, transmission system improvements bid award.
We're finally here. We did it. At least we got a contract to award. Unfortunately, it wasn't at the price we were looking for, but as the design progressed and things kept getting a little more complicated, I think it definitely looked like the price wasn't going to be what we initially thought it was, which was about $5.5 million. So we're looking now at a base bid of $6,652,670. The range of bids, as I mentioned in my earlier correspondence, went up to $12.4 million, with 2 bids around the $8 million range, which is probably a good estimate of where the cost actually lies. But fortunately, we did get a good contractor, CB Utilities from here in Bristol. Really wanted the work, and I know he'll do a really good job for us. So we've done a lot of work with CB, but Beta also did their due diligence, looked into their work histories, the type of projects they did. We acquired a certain amount of large pipe from the bidders, that they had extensive experience being able to handle this type of work. And they agreed that CB will do a good job for us. We also had an alternate in the contract for a higher class of pipe. What we specified, as I mentioned, was a class 52 with a zinc coating for corrosion, and also what they call now, it's a new system, B-Bio, which is actually an anti-corrosion treated polyethylene encasement, which in testing is shown to be extremely effective in extending the life of a transmission main that had failures due to corrosion. But we also asked for class 54 and class 56, which are thicker pipes, just to see what the cost involved would be, and looking at essentially a belt and suspenders issue. We're burying the pipe over 10 feet deep in many areas. We're not going to have really good access to it in the future. So we felt that the additional cost may be worthwhile. The class 56 was very expensive and probably not worth the additional cost. So we're actually recommending that we go from class 52 to class 54 for an additional $257,110, which is an additional 3.7% of the base bid. It's our feeling that it's not absolutely necessary, but I think considering the issues we had last year with our pipeline across the bay, that it would be worthwhile insurance, essentially, to add to the thickness of the pipe. It doesn't sound like a lot as far as the amount of thickness, 0.06 inches thicker. If you realize it's over 14 pounds in just per foot, it's a lot of extra metal. It creates a barrier to corrosion, which we think is beneficial. So, and then looking at an approximate 10% contingency, we're looking at a total cost of $7,575,000 for the installation of the pipeline. So my recommendation at this point is to award CB Utilities the contract in the amount of $6,909,780 to include the Class 54 pipe. And then for an overall award to include contingency for the $7,575,000.
Give me that number again. Is it the 652, 670 plus 257.10?
That's correct.
Okay. So say that number again, please.
So the total award to CB Utilities would be for $6,909,780.
Gotcha. With the overall of $7,575,000.
That's correct.
Okay. Entertain a motion for that approval, for that award.
Make the motion to be approved.
Second.
Okay, that was Juan and Gina. Further discussion? Question. This works exactly the way it normally works. The more money spent, the less comment is made. If this was a $10,000 project, we'd be talking about it for the next hour and a half. Are we ready to vote? Okay. Juan,
Yes.
John,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
George.
Aye.
I didn't hear you, George. You said
Aye.
yes?
Yes.
Yes. Gina,
Yes.
Chris,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. We're on the way.
You're right, Alan. If this was to give a ratepayer $20 back, we'd be going around and around.
What is the ending point, by the way, of this? How far does this go, Pam?
As far as the actual installation goes to the East Providence tank, it's approximately 2 miles.
Okay.
And this will join the two pipelines together, so we have a excellent backup supply from the East Providence system coming through Providence Water. And there will be some supply from Bristol County for an emergency for East Providence. Not quite as much as we used to have when we had a 24-inch pipeline. Now that we have an 18-inch pipeline, it will have to be carefully operated if both systems need some supply.
Can that be pumped, though?
Pardon me?
Can't that be pumped rather than gravity?
The East Providence would pump it, and we would also pump as well. But you have a significant pressure reduction at the higher flow rates.
Gotcha.
Is there any action that we need to take with regard to the city of East Providence, or is there anything we're waiting for from the city of East Providence at this point?
Yes, we're
Money.
still, yes.
Money.
Some commitment from East Providence. We're still waiting for a city council meeting. The mayor had requested to be placed on their agenda several months ago.
Will-
I know
will we-
they've been having a few issues with water and sewer, and they wanted to put us on the same agenda. So I don't believe they've addressed that yet.
Will we,
So,
should we send a letter to them saying that we've now awarded this contract and?
Oh, yes, most
Forward.
definitely.
Okay.
I'll let them know tomorrow.
my suggestion would be that you create a downside so that the cost is going to be X if you get a firm commitment from them, and if you don't, then we're going to take an override for the risk.
Everything went blank for me at this point.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Okay, what I said was that I think you need to create a downside for East Providence because they've consistently behaved this way.
Mhm.
My suggestion would be that if they make a firm commitment in the next 30 days, they pay a percentage of our cost. If they don't, we mark it up. Because we're taking the risk and we're putting out money and they're getting a free ride and they might or might not come in at the end.
I like the idea, but I would be more forgiving and give them a little bit more time than that, because the wheels of city government, state government don't move very far in 30 days.
That's
Well,
true.
except that we've been having this conversation now for about 4 years.
But now that
Pam, you've been in touch with the mayor's office, correct?
Yes.
So perhaps you
He
should,
wants to pursue it, but he wants to push it all up onto the city council, of course. But the council does have to make the decision. They do hold the purse strings.
perhaps it would be appropriate for you to give the mayor the sense of concern that our board has about this. I mean, it's one thing when we foot the bill for that little tiny connection that we made, that tiny connection, we paid for that. But now we're getting serious about this, and we need them to come through with their sense of cooperation. They were going to pay half of the engineering costs to determine the best way to go on this for the last 5 miles. Is that thing happening?
Nope, we have discussed it. And actually, I asked them to pay half the cost for the study to determine the operations. And I've asked them actually earlier this week where they were with that. And they said, I have to talk to someone else, so.
Pam, I don't think you can have this verbal back and forth. I think you need to send them a bill in writing.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing, is that I like formality. I'd like something in writing to go to them, outlining what we've been talking about and what we want, thinking about doing.
If they're not intending to pay for this, then why do we need an 8 million gallon pipeline? Why not just downsize the pipeline? I mean, that would be a crime, obviously, because at some point they're going to need that. But I mean, that's really, isn't there a big difference in the cost of the pipe and the cost to install it by going to a smaller volume pipe?
Well, we'd be going from a 30 to a 24, so there would be some savings. It wouldn't be a lot of money, but it would be at least $1 million, maybe two.
That's enough.
Yep.
I mean, my sense all along has been to make the state aware of this, because from my perspective, if the state knew that we were putting this line in, and if East Providence, and we were anticipating East Providence to cooperate with us, and if they decided not to, then it would be a terrible planning, from a planning perspective, a terrible project to let us downsize the pipe. And therefore the state ought to come up with the difference and let the state argue with East Providence as far as paying.
Alan, you've been with me when we've discussed this with the state. They don't want to be involved.
They
I don't think the state cares, but
No.
I think that we have an obligation to do the right thing for our ratepayers and not permit East Providence to have a free ride and say yes or no somewhere down the road.
I agree with you, Gina, but I don't think we should jump all over them right now, because there's been a great improvement in their negotiations.
Oh,
with
yes.
us, period. I mean, they wouldn't even let us over the town line a few years ago, so.
But I
See-
think we
see
should,
what-
but it would seem to me that we should put them on notice that we're having
Well,
discussions.
definitely, let them know what we're doing.
And no, but that we're having discussions that as a condition of using that pipeline, we would require them to pitch in some money.
That makes
Oh,
sense.
definitely. I think it's pretty much understood if they don't commit before we finalize design, we're going with a smaller pipeline.
Right. It
And
may
there
be,
will be no,
Pam, that makes me very nervous when you say it's pretty much understood. I think we need to draft a letter that goes to the council and the city manager saying, here's where we are, here's the cost, here's what we're going to sign, and you're going to be in or you're going to be out. You could be polite about it, but it needs to be in writing.
Exactly.
Joe, what do you feel about this?
I mean, you can keep communicating with them. I mean, I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. I mean, you know, I don't, how close are we to doing that second piece?
Well, right now, we are awarding the contract.
Not for the second piece, you're not.
No, for the first piece.
Right.
First piece, we're starting design.
We're expending money, bottom line. We're expending money that's to the benefit of East Providence, so we should put them on notice of that.
Yeah, you can put them on notice.
Pick a date. If 30 days is not reasonable, then say 90 days. But we need to have a date and we need to stick to it.
What if you give them 90 days and they don't do anything? Then what?
Then I think we move forward without them. We can either have the larger pipeline and let them buy in later at a significant increase in cost over our cost, or we can downsize the pipe. But given their history, I can't see them making a decision.
If we're talking about phase one, phase two is the 5 miles, and that's going to be the most expensive part of this because of the crossings, the difficulty of it. Does it jeopardize, if we get too tough with them now, does that jeopardize their cooperation in our moving forward with the design and construction of phase two?
Well, their whole issue is they don't have the money, and they don't have the bonding capacity because they built a very expensive school. So they are still waiting, I think, on grant funds, which I don't really see coming unless there's a significant change in the federal administration and they start providing some matching grant funds for projects. As of right now, even the supposed infrastructure bill contains no grant money for water. It's all based on infrastructure bond funds, which are loan funds, and the same as WIFIA, which are loan funds. So,
but didn't we just award a contract?
In order to move forward, East Providence has to find some funding.
Well,
didn't we just award a contract?
Pardon me, go ahead, John.
Didn't we just award a contract?
Yes.
Then how can we stop talking about changing the size of the pipe and all that kind of stuff?
That's on this next phase.
Phase two.
Oh.
Phase two. Yeah, phase one, we decided we wanted to move forward and we're gonna pay for it ourselves.
Okay.
Oh, I
So
thought
that's ready to-
I thought Gina was saying we should get some money for
No,
for this
next
phase.
Okay, so
5 miles is gonna be very expensive.
well, based on what you're saying, they're tapped out for a variety of reasons, and therefore it may be in the final analysis, as Gina says, that we have to foot the bill, but then they pay for every gallon of water that they use, they're paying extra to cover that cost that we put out. So I guess we cross that bridge or that pipe when we come to it. All right, let's move on.
So what's the resolution here, Mr.
I have
Chairman?
a question. Are we going to write anything or are we not going to write anything?
Yeah, she's
I'll
going
send
to write a
them
letter
another
that
letter.
we'll be starting.
Yep.
We are going to
Send
submit
them
a letter to
another
East Providence asking them for their status as far as the phase two of this, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
tell them where we are, that's right. Okay, number 9, pavement improvement contract award.
Yes, we usually, as I mentioned, have, when we do main installations, we include the pavement in the contracts with the main installation contractor. It's been getting very expensive with the changes in requirements, both from the states and the towns. So we started working, actually as a side, we started working with the town of Bristol and utilizing their paving contract, which is very reasonable for anything that's on town roads. So we haven't actually done any of that work yet, but we have some waiting to be done. So we are expecting to save some funds on that. And meanwhile, for the state roads, we're looking to do a separate contract, and it's we are looking to save a significant amount of funds by doing it ourselves rather than going through a water main contractor. So it's recommended. We had 4 bids for the contract. It's recommended that Carty Corporation be awarded the pavement improvement contract for $169,990. With that amount based on the bid items we listed, with the caveat that the final amount actually paid to the contractor will be based on the actual paving.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's
Second.
moved. Who did that?
Me.
Bill did. And who, Gina, did you say?
Gina, second.
Seconded. Okay. This is, as I understand it, is just exactly like the contracts that we make for the parts that we buy, the pieces that we buy. We take the low bidder, but it's an intent to buy at that rate, at that cost. But it's not effective until we actually purchase it.
Right, we go by the unit cost and we provide an estimate as to how much we think we're going to use, so the contractor can have an idea of what range he would be in.
So that's the same as the other contracts that we have awarded each year.
That's correct.
Further discussion.
Question. Are these requirements the same as what Bristol passed as their ordinance?
No, these are requirements that the Rhode Island Department of Transportation has started to implement on state roads. It's a little bit different. It's not automatic curb to curb. They look at the amount of work we've done in the road. They are basically not allowing a lot of parallel trenches. They are making us pave a continuous piece in between those trenches, should we have a lot of trenches within 100 feet of each other. But no, it's similar to what Bristol has done, but it's requirements from the Rhode Island Department of Transportation on state roads.
Okay. You ready to vote on this? Raise of hands. Juan, Chris, John, Bob, Gina, Bill, George, and me. It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Item 10 on your agenda, Hope Street Site Lead Remediation Bid Award.
Yes, this is for the lead remediation from the painting of the tanks from many years ago. They used to blast off the paint from the tanks, and sometimes that paint would get caught by the wind and move on to adjacent properties. And unfortunately, that did contaminate some of the adjacent properties. Our tank site is very small. So part of the property we did purchase when we purchased the house, but we also have a section on the property to the east of the tank site. Actually, the lead levels were mostly below industrial levels, but in the residential areas, there were some sections that were above the residential areas. So we have to remove that lead, and we're storing it on site, which will be below the industrial levels, which we are considered with our tank site, and we will cap that. So which will be a relatively much less expensive method than trying to dispose of the lead contaminated soils. Although it's much higher than it used to be cost-wise, so we were a little surprised at the bids. Some of them, as I said, went from $179,000 to $349,000. So we did, PAR investigated the low bidder and does recommend Brighter Horizons Environmental be awarded the base bid of $185,490. Now, there were some additional alternates in the bid. We did separate out the property to the east. It's private property, and there's some question as to whether the homeowner is going to allow us on the site. And so we may or may not be doing that with this contract. And there are some other issues as far as if some additional work might be needed. So PAR recommends that we add an additional $68,875 for the remediation and a contingency of about $25,000. So we would come up with an award to Brighter Horizons in the amount of $254,365, and with a total overall cost for the project of $279,365. And Joe, I don't know if you wanted to add anything more about the issues with the adjacent property, but not at this time.
Not right now, no.
Okay.
Okay. That's called Brighter Horizon Environmental.
Correct.
Okay. A motion to award the contract to them for $254,365 with an overall contract not to exceed $279,365.
So moved.
Bill moves it.
Second.
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 Seconds it. Further discussion? Yes, Bill. Yes, George.
Yeah, I mean, it says, if I'm in the right place here, however, PAR was not able to verify all the references or bonding capacity of Brighter Horizons in the time frame between the bid opening and the issuance of this letter. So, I mean, should we be awarding a contract to these people until these other circumstances are met and whatnot? It appears they haven't been fully qualified or checked out by PAR because they haven't gotten information back.
I guess we could add the phrase subject to confirmation from PAR on the references.
Exactly. Okay, great. Sounds good.
If that's added to the motion.
Yes.
Bill, you accept that? Gina, you accept that?
Yes, good addition.
Okay. That's a phrase added to it, subject to positive references from PAR. Ready to vote?
No, I have a question, Mr.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Juan.
I just want to make sure I understand this. We're taking lead contaminated soil that's on the private property to the east, and we're now going to move it to our property where it's going to be encapsulated. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, recognizing that there is no safe level for lead, even any lead present at all is a public health risk. I don't like this solution.
But essentially it is it will be protected from anyone coming in contact with it. It's a private site. It belongs to Bristol County Water. It will be capped according to the DEM, and it will not be allowed to be, essentially you can't dig into the soil without notification of the DEM and all proper precautions. So there are setting up where we're going to be putting some new piping. We are cleaning out those areas. They're digging out all that soil and replacing it with clean soil where we know we're going to re-access the ground there. So,
Did we look into the cost of removing it from the site?
we're having a very small section removed, which is over the industrial limit, and it is very expensive. I don't remember the exact cost, but it would be significantly higher.
Do you know how it's going to be encapsulated?
Yes, we do have the bid documents for that were very specific as to how that was to be handled. It's to be There will be a barrier put in between the soils and the cap. And there will be eventually around the tank will be paved.
Okay, and Joe, you didn't want to comment on the other piece of property where the property owner doesn't want us to get on the property to remediate it. And so that continues to present a liability to the Bristol County Water Authority, doesn't it?
I don't want to talk about it yet because it's something that's going to have to be discussed in executive session, and we didn't have time to do that, and there's a couple of developments that have to be addressed before I can really talk to you about that in executive session,
Okay.
which we will do next month.
No questions. I'm concerned, that's all.
Yeah, no, I think next month that it can be framed up so I can kind of tell you what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Question, Joe, should we award this contract then until that's solved?
No, you award the contract.
Okay, we're ready to vote. Juan,
Abstain. Abstain.
abstain. Okay, John,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Gina,
Aye.
we're here. Bill,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
and Chris.
Aye.
And I say aye, so it's one abstention and the rest are positive. Contract's awarded. Okay, vehicle procurement backhoe. A John Deere 310 SL backhoe. $96,450.
Actually, I have to say our operations group did a real good due diligence on looking for a backhoe. They've been spending the last couple months trying to find one that was used that would meet our criteria. Didn't have much luck. As soon as we found something, it was usually gone. We actually found one of the vendors had one in stock that was a model. It was actually, I think, a fairly new model, and they let us test drive it, which worked out very well. We were very happy with the way it operated, and it would suit our specifications very well. Except we found a 2018 model that was even cheaper and had more of the attachments that we were looking for.
Does it have cup holders?
That is Mike. I haven't been in it.
Well, man.
But I think on the basis of what we were originally expecting for a cost and what we could purchase this one for, I highly recommend that we approve the purchase of the John Deere 310 SL backhoe from Schmidt Equipment in the amount of $96,450.
So moved.
Make a motion that we approve this.
Seconded, that's John. Who was the seconded?
Bill.
Bill, okay. Further
Pam, can I
discussion?
just ask one question? How many operators do we have? Do we have?
Do we have total?
Yeah, maybe Mike knows. How many
I have to
licensed
look at our
operators?
latest about.
So all of our water utility operators are licensed with state of Rhode Island hoisting licenses.
Run the backhoe.
To run the piece of heavy equipment.
Very good.
It was one of the conditions of employment that we actually started in 2012, but we didn't have a backhoe for them to operate. So when we got our other backhoe last year, we instituted the policy that they all had to get their licenses. So actually, since we've had the last backhoe, we've been using it quite a bit. And now that when we had the second one for a trial, we very good use of both, to the point that we did not need our contractor to do the backhoe work that we normally hire. So with the 2 backhoes, we're looking to be pretty independent, except in emergencies where we need additional help.
Very good.
Ready to vote? Okay, Juan,
Yes.
John,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Gina,
Yes.
Bill,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
aye. Unanimous. Okay, White Birch Lane, private water distribution.
I had indicated that I would draft up a letter, which I did. I actually just finished it before the meeting started, so I'll send it over to Pam, and we'll get that out.
Okay, this is going to give them their options, if I understand correctly.
Yep.
This is probably some of the more expensive homes in Barrington. If the map location serves, I would think these folks could certainly afford it if push comes to shove.
But I think the biggest issue that would cover us is the fact that we put in a meter pit and bill them off the meter pit and their individual bills. And they split the difference between anything that's over and above the addition of the individual bills.
Yeah, it's not a question of, you know, whether these are expensive homes or not. This is just an issue of a couple things. Detecting leakage and really notifying them that they are on a private line. That's really what this is about.
Yeah, I understand. We're cleaning these things up over the years.
Yep.
And then if they, one resolution may be to install a private water main, which would give them much better fire protection as well. But whether they would ever get together to do that's another story.
Okay. So a letter will go out. All right, we're finished with that one. Quarterly write-offs, exceedingly small, 0.01 of 1%. We're doing very well on collections.
Well, actually, this was an unusual one. It just happened to be that some large collections came in from lien sales. So so this is unusually low for us, but it did work very well for this quarter.
I'd like to also bring to your attention that write-off reflects pre-COVID timeframe. So it's a period, because it usually takes about 6 months to get to the write-off stage. So you're looking at January, February activity on this particular write-off.
Understand.
So I wouldn't expect the next quarter to be as small.
Understand. Understand. Okay, we're going to go into executive session. So we entertain a motion to enter executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465A2 for Anawan Dam contract and Providence water rate filing. With a raise of hands to go into this so that we're all voting. Everybody's hand is up and we're entering executive session at 5:18.
Okay, one moment. We do have, I'm sorry, Carissa, but I'll have to put you in the waiting room.
Okay.
And I'll stop the recording.
All right, I'm going to
Zoom. Okay, resume recording, and I'll bring Carissa back into regular session. Carissa, sorry to hang you out there so long. We're back into regular session.
No problem.
So you need to move to seal the minutes.
Entertain a motion to seal the minutes of the
So
executive
moved.
session.
Second.
Bill, and who seconded it?
Bob did.
Bob, okay. All those in favor, raise your hand. I see the hands, it's unanimous. We'll now go to Anawan Dam contract. Gina,
I'd like to move that we cancel the Anawam Dam contract.
I'll second that.
I think the language should be that we make them aware that that's our intention. No, you're canceling it? What's the correct way to say it?
The way she said it.
Just cancel it. Okay.
Yeah, because we have to give them notice.
You gotta give them 1 year notice. You have to cancel the contract.
Okay. Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a vote by raising hands. Juan? Up there. John? Yes. Bob, yes. Gina, yes. Bill, yes. George, yes. Chris? Yes. And I'm yes. It's unanimous. Providence water rate filing. Is there any action to be taken at this point?
No action up to be taken other than to, just formally tell the board that the case has now been resolved, that the commission implemented individual wholesale rates, and the rate is for Bristol.
You said 161?
161 per 100 cubic feet.
Okay. And that could have been how high?
Well, it started off at would have been a 20% increase at about $1.63.
So it's 161 instead of $1.63.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Our next meeting is September 24th. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Bill, Gina seconded. Those in favor say aye.
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 It's a fact. Thank you all. We're
Thank you.
adjourned at 5:45.